Hello, my name is Paula Wicher and I will talk about my poster titled Choice but Not Facial Mimicry Induces Liking, an online study of art preferences. We know from previous studies that when people copy someone's gestures or body posture, they experience numerous positive effects. So, for example, they like each other more, or they perceive the interaction as more smooth, or they're just more helpful towards each other. But what happens when people copy someone's preferences or choices? Do we have similar effects? So I couldn't get an answer to this question from literature. That's why I decided to design this study. We recruited a few Confederates and trained them in terms of copying behavior. We recruited participants and told them that we're looking for new ways how to attend art exhibitions nowadays in the pandemic. They started the study from Gorilla, answered some questions there, and then the main interaction happened on Zoom. They were given two paintings and they were asked which one they prefer, and they talked about this with two different Confederates. The first one agreed with them on 75% of the trials. The second one agreed with them 25% of the trials. After each conversation, they answered social perception questions on Gorilla, and then after both of the conversations, they came back to fill other measures. In terms of the outcomes, we asked participants who they would like to spend time with from those two Confederates they talked to. And 74% of the time, they preferred to spend time with the Confederate who was mimicking their art choices. So, for example, they wanted to go for a walk with them, or they wanted to have drinks in a pub with them. The only exception was getting help with an essay, because participants mostly picked, in this case, the disagreeing Confederate. They also went through the maze. The task was to get out of the maze as quickly as possible. And on each trial, they needed to approach one of the Confederates to ask for a hint. And we also checked if they followed it. So 58% of the time, they approached the Confederates who was mostly mimicking them. But following the hint later on didn't matter. It wasn't significant. It also seems that copying someone's preferences doesn't have an influence on mood or facial mimicry. We got data on facial expressions from video, which we put in OpenFace, and we got facial action units data, which you can have a look at the graph. To sum up, the manipulation worked, and participants liked the Confederates who mostly agreed with them rather than the Confederates who mostly disagreed with them. Also, it seems like copying someone's preferences has a positive effect on warmth measures, so going for a walk or approaching in a maze game. However, it doesn't have an influence on competence measures, so getting help with an essay or following advice in a maze game. This is just a starting point, and the next study is gonna focus directly on the effects of choice mimicry versus a more physical form of mimicry. Thank you.